of the way. So, yikes, it's winter. So this is the result of what happens, the first major winter snow. You get bridges that ice before the roads. And then you have black ice, which we saw quite a bit of. Right now I'm heading over to Flint, Michigan, and there is, I think I probably saw about 4 car wrecks. One of the car, I'm not sure, it must have been rear-ended on the left-hand side because it was in the ditch on the left-hand side, right? The car facing the opposite way of traffic, but on the right-hand side was the car that hit it. So it must have swerved from the right lane, did a 180, and slid all the way to the left-hand side. So it's not really a surprise that we see a ton of that, unfortunately, a ton of that accidents, because what you basically have to understand is anytime it snows for the first time, it's almost like it's not a reflex. People seem to just forget how to properly drive in the wintertime, how to really keep your distance and why that matters, because you can slide, how to know when it's safe, right? An example that I have is, I've been driving for about 40 minutes now. I'm 11 minutes out of Flint, Michigan, and the reason why we're going so slow on this highway is yet another accident, I'm sure. And what happens is people just seem to forget. I don't think it's new drivers, because a lot of the cars that are in accidents are not, they're good cars. And people that walk out of there are usually well over the age of 30, right? When you walk, you drive past these accidents, you can tell by their age. They're not new drivers. So what's happened is, you end up having a ton of these drivers who just seem to forget. I mean, driving is not an automatic response. It's not an ideomotor response. And though a ton of us in a summertime can kind of just not really pay attention when we're driving, we just kind of almost coast to neutral and we're daydreaming a little bit. When it comes to wintertime, there's a ton more things that are unexpected that can creep up, right? We have ice, regular ice, and then we have what they term black ice, which is, ice on black pavement, but you can't see it. And if you can't see it, you can't anticipate what might happen, and therefore a ton of people end up just cruising right through that, and then their car ends up slipping, losing traction control. You end up having a bunch of snow that can hit someone's face. Typically, you take a look at the car in front of me. Many times as I've been driving, what will happen, and anyone who's been driving for through a winter will know this too, and that's, like you see from the bus on top too, is all of a sudden snow from on top of that bus will come and hit you right in the windshield. So you really have to be prepared, because that means that you have snow and sometimes ice along with it that comes in and packs the windshield and you can't see. So you have to be ready to do this real quick, or you could get into an accident because someone was careless or lazy and just said screw it. So kind of things can be thrown at you when you're driving in the wintertime. You end up having a tremendous amount of more risk. So driving, as I kind of call it, with your mind in neutral, is not appropriate, and you have to pay special attention. And one thing I think that annoys me, and certainly a lot of drivers, is if the roads don't feel safe, I'm going the limit that I think is appropriate, right? And that's everyone's duty, right? As long as you're not going faster, it's appropriate. That's why you can get a ticket if you're driving, 70 miles per hour in a snowstorm or rainstorm. You can get a ticket for that, even if you're going the speed limit at the very top, because it's considered reckless driving. Why is that? Well, because how likely are you going to see what's ahead of you if you're traveling 70 miles per hour down a highway and it's pouring out and you can barely see 10 feet in front of you? You're endangering your life, your passenger's life. You're increasing the risk of accidents tenfold, and other people's too, right? Just because maybe you don't care about your life, if you're one of those people, doesn't mean that someone else certainly doesn't care about it. It's such a tragedy when you see these individuals who are driving carelessly and end up killing or severely injuring a family. because they thought it was, all about them. This is not all about them. This is about, you're driving a 2 to 3 ton vehicle, so you need to take appropriate action and be responsible. So it looks like the traffic cleared up. Google Maps, I have it running, was predicting that it was going to add about 8 more minutes onto the traffic. So as I mentioned, I've seen some accidents. This far it's not too bad. Again, what you would expect. The one thing that I would, just as a recommendation, if you're new to driving in snow. Oh, yeah, I don't know if you just saw that past that camera, but there it is. Look to your left right now. You can see someone swerved in and out there. It looks like they went all the way to the median. You can tell by the tracks in the snow, and then managed to swerve back out. So that is yet another accident there. So as a tip, if you're new to driving, and if you're not new, so really my tip is applicable to everyone. Don't use cruise control at first. Don't use cruise control. Don't use your smart cruise control. It's very difficult for the driver to feel the road and get a sense of the traction if you're using cruise control. So my recommendation is that, for the first couple of times, at least, be sure that you're driving manually, because when you're using cruise control, even the AI sensors that are in the Tesla and some of these other cars, they're not capable yet of detecting ahead where there's ice. Once the car is slipping, it can try and do something, although they're not designed for ice, right? It's usually for rain or something like that. But if you're on a patch of ice and all your wheels are slipping, no amount of AI is going to be able to trick physics into being better, so and stopping safer. So it's crucially important that you take the time, readapt yourself, your body, your senses to really recognize when it's dangerous out, when it's slippery versus when it's not. It's important, and it can literally be a life-saving tip, because this is where it matters. When you're driving this fast, even if you're driving slow, if another car hits you because they're being reckless, they're not really aware of their surroundings. So don't be that vehicle. Be sure that you're driving safe, you're testing the road out, you're not using cruise control at first, just so you understand and you can feel that road. Once in a while, you're gonna have someone who's behind you. Sometimes it's one of these big trucks, sometimes it's another SUV, or sometimes it's even a little car, and they don't understand the roads, or they don't care, or they think that they're not susceptible to the laws of physics. They think they just can do what they want to do. And so you'll get these people who will drive behind you, as happened a little while ago with myself, and they'll honk the horn, they'll beep their lights at you, because they want you to move out of that fast lane. Well, or sometimes a slow lane, because they want to get past you. So, go ahead and just move out. I recommend, you can see the truck to the right of you, by the way. That's the snow that I was referring to, right? So when he was leaving, if you're behind that United truck that we just saw, coming right at your windshield. But back to what I was stating, if you're dealing with some of those individuals that are honking at you, just politely move out of the way. And I say politely because you may be on snow. You don't want to jerk your car. You don't want to make any sudden motion with your car if you can avoid it. And just let them pass. What you don't want to do, and this is so important if you are a new driver to snow, is the last thing you want to do is give in to their sense of security and meet, match, or exceed their speed. What you don't want to do is say, okay, well, fine, that's it. I'm going to go just as fast as they want me to go. That puts you in danger. If you're going slow for a reason, make sure you don't let someone else tell you how to feel secure, because that's how accidents happen. So if you have someone like that that's beeping and honking at you, move away from them, give them some distance, and if they decide to trip, Too bad. Thanks for